Hello, wherever you are, welcome back to Microeconomics. My name is Olole Godwin. We've been talking about externalities. So in the last class we spoke about externality, what it was or what it is. Basically, when we're trying to say that externality is the external effect or cost of a market activity or a market transaction on a bystander that wasn't an initial part of the transaction, that wasn't considered when the transaction was taking place. So I see a definition on the board. Externality is the way by which someone's activity affects another person that was not considered when the activity was embarked upon. And from there we move into reasons why markets fail, right? Because externality is basically a reason for market failure, and from one of the 10 principles of economics, which says markets is a good way of organizing economic activity, or market can be a good way of organizing economic activity. So it's not saying that market is always a good way of organizing economic activity, and that is telling us that okay, from this, market is a good way, it could be a good way, but some things could also make markets not be a good way of organizing economic activity. And that takes us to another principle of economics that says that government sometimes come into the market to improve on market outcomes, right? So there are times when governments have to come in now to improve upon market outcomes, and that doesn't say that governments are not going to fail as well, because and that is very terrible for an economy when there is market failure and there is a government failure. So when government cannot even do anything about restoring efficiency in the market, so you have a government failure as well. But what we are just trying to say, those ones are for advanced classes. What we're just trying to say here is that markets fail and government sometimes may come in and improve on those market outcomes, right? So that took us to we talked about that at length when we spoke about taxes in the previous video. And I think the previous video was okay. You have reasons why markets fail. You have market power. Okay, you have taxes, government legislation, externalities. There might be several other reasons why markets fail. And our class is actually dwelling on externalities. So the last time I spoke about negative externalities. So if you want to have access to that video, continue to watch this video. The playlist of externalities will display on your screen. So you click on the playlist and then you watch. Like if there are several other videos on externalities, you're going to see every one of them. Alright, and then you click on the first video spoke about negative externality, and this is talking about positive externality. So remind ourselves once again, negative externality is just the adverse effect of a market transaction on a bystander. And I recall talking about Faustina, who was a very loud music player, who is representing one of the buyers of sound systems in Nigeria in that particular video in that particular class. And then we also had Awa and Adedayo, who were the serious students that were studying for their exams, being disturbed by Faustina's loud music. So if you want to access that class, I've told you how you can do it. So that's all about that. And one other thing that we learned is that whenever there is a negative externality, the good the good that we are talking about, the good or service that we're talking about right now, then as is overproduced. That is, the society would have increased its welfare by producing less of that commodity. So we're talking about good or service now. Okay, and yes, I was talking about sound system. Okay, then with the adverse effects. All right, and that doesn't mean sound system doesn't benefit others. So Faustina, I was saying that Faustina's sound system could actually be a positive externality to Awa and Adedayo, in the sense that Awa and Adedayo, let's have a further assumption that they are twins. Okay, so they could have a birthday party and they could have to borrow Faustina's sound system, alright, for their birthday party. There are things like that happening a lot. I don't know. Of course, in Nigeria, things like that happen a lot. So you just go to your neighbor. Once your neighbor has something that you need, so why not go to your neighbor? Okay, it's people in European countries that are kind of mind my own business kind of a thing, but African culture, you just have to this entire relationship is there. All right, so in that particular case, Faustina's sound system is benefiting Awa and Adedayo, and of course, I don't think Faustina was probably considering that when she was making a purchase of a sound system. And this is kind of a miniature of what is happening in the entire markets for sound systems. Another example of a negative externality is alcohol, or let me say alcoholic drinks. All right. Now, when an individual buys, let me say Ralph. Now, Ralph likes to drink. All right. So when he's trying to like check what is optimal. When Ralph wants to consume, of course, looking at his marginal cost and the marginal benefits of an additional bottle of alcoholic drink. Now, the thing is that Ralph might overconsume alcohol to the extent that it might then be a nuisance to some people. So he might just take a lot of bottles, get intoxicated, jump inside his car, speed on the highway, and then hit somebody, hit a car, something like that. So in that case, the alcoholic drink that Ralph took is a source of negative externality to bystanders, because it is increasing their own risk of accident. Alright, and these are the people that Ralph probably wasn't considering when he was taking alcoholic drinks. Now, the analysis of that is just going to be equal to the diagrams and everything will be equal to what we did in the previous video talking about Fastenal's sound system. Then I wanted to mention something that is alcohol bad? Like, should alcohol be should it be eradicated? Like, we don't want these externalities, so can we just stop the consumption and production of this commodity? Can we just eradicate sound systems? I just spoke about Fastenal sound system being of help, okay, on Alida's birthday and Howard's birthday as well. Then alcoholic drinks, actually, just type that into Google right now. Like, what are the benefits of alcoholic drinks? They actually, I think I had to write it down. Okay, alcoholic drinks, the consumption of alcohol basically reduce the risk of heart disease. Okay, they reduce the risk of having heart disease. Now, actually, the overconsumption of alcohol is then going to lead to the reverse of what I just said. So they are going to increase the risk of dying of heart disease, So you could just check that to verify. Anyway, I think we've spoken a lot about negative externalities. For people that didn't even see the video, from what I've said, they will just have an overview of what was discussed in that video. Okay, so what are the now today we're talking about positive externality, which is saying that the benefits, the external benefits of a bystander from a market transaction, from a market activity. And what are examples of positive externalities? Okay, you have education. All right. So in determining whether to pursue tertiary education, so let's say we have Sarah. Okay, so Sarah is trying to should I pursue a higher degree, maybe after finishing her SSC, or so on and so forth. So she's going to be looking at her own marginal cost, most likely, which is going to include her time. Her time is the biggest cost there. Okay, her time, foregone incomes, foregone earnings. She has a certificate from senior secondary school that she could just use to work as a clerk somewhere, as a secretary. She'll be having some incomes, but it's not going to be as good as if she comes into the university and then secures a job equivalent to the degree, okay, that she possesses by then. All right. So these are two kind of your time, foregone earnings, and other kind of costs. Let's just say those are the two costs. Then a marginal benefits. Okay, a marginal benefit is that it's going to put her in a more privileged position in the labor market, that is to secure better paying jobs, and it also shapes the way she thinks. Okay, because there's this kind of way we want to relate with people that are educated. People that are educated, not people that just went to school. All right. So there's a kind of expectation. You expect them to have in Nigerian perspective sense. Like you expect them to have more sense than people that didn't go to, that didn't have that kind of exposure. But it's not always the case. It's not always the case that we have that. Educated people, there's a different way they behave. They understand the electoral process. They are meant to, or let's just say on average, they understand the electoral processes more than people that are not educated. They understand the importance of having good governance. Okay, they understand the importance of voting rightly, and they are also in better positions to be job creators. Okay, to people. So these are things that these what Sarah is just going to be considering is, okay, I'm going to be a better person. If she's going to be I'm going to be a better person. I will earn more income. Okay, I'll get a good job, and from there, I'll then people income. So it just makes me better placed, basically. Now that's on Sarah. So Sarah's marginal at the demand curve is something like this. You know, I'm not. This is just Sarah. Sarah is just one of the people in this market, in the market for tertiary education. Then this is the private marginal benefit curve that is talking about the demand curve, and then the private marginal curve. So these are the universities that want to supply the education now. So you have this, then this interacts. You have buyers, you have sellers of tertiary education, everybody here, and you have the equivalent price that result, which would be in terms of school fees, tuition, or whatever school fees in general. Then you have the amount, the private amount, or let me just, I call it private amount because it's private marginal benefits, private marginal cost, so something like a private optimal amount, then the private price. Okay, now what is happening here is that the benefit of education actually goes beyond Sarah. Okay, in the case that for example, let's say I was Sarah. Okay, Sarah is female. No, let me just use my own example now. I never thought I was going to have a YouTube channel to teach economics students. I never thought of it. Now, and that is because I studied economics. That's because let me just assume that I made a choice to study economics in school. So I did that, and look at what is happening today. Subscribers are like 8,750 as we speak, and you have a lot of them, watching this video. These are people that I did not consider when I was going into the university, and now a lot of you are enjoying external benefits. So that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I'm saying. So you guys are going to be you are going to want more of you are going to have pleasure in people having more education than the people themselves analyzed. All right, so someone like you wants something like that. Someone like you wants, or majority of you wants more of these things to be happening. All right, so that means you want people to be educated the more than they decide personally, than what their personal decision is resulting into. Okay, and because of that, a positive externality results. Okay, there's a positive externality because of there's a positive externality that results into that, and that simply means that the society's optimal quantity of education is going to be greater than what the individuals themselves, than what the market is going to give you, ordinarily. So okay, and to further what I'm trying to explain, if Sarah has relatives, okay, and now thank God she has a better job, she has money to a reasonable extent, and right now she might be able to sponsor some of our relatives to school, let's say, that are handicapped financially in one way or the other. Okay, and because that is happening, we are just talking about, so it's kind of an external benefit to their relative, because the relative is able to go to school, acquire his or her own education, because Sarah made a choice to be educated. Now look at that across the society. People enjoying from Sarah's education are going to people enjoying from Sarah's education will want more people to be educated than what the market is actually providing. Okay, and so that's about that. I think I was trying to talk about myself. Okay, I didn't know I was going to be a YouTuber today, or let me say, YouTuber today, because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, I never knew I was going to be a YouTuber today, and here I am. You guys are enjoying economic classes because I studied economics in school. So which means that I never thought about this kind of external benefits to people, and the external benefits is actually there. Okay, and what's the level of education that I would have actually loved to acquire is going to be smaller than what you guys really want. Sometimes people even ask me questions about things I don't know, basically. Okay, and I just have to go and study them if I can, and if I can't, just leave them like that until we are able, because these are classes that you really don't have to put nonsense out there. So we really have to know what we are talking about, and then pass them across. So that's an example of what I'm saying. So let's say if Sarah had a relative, okay, and cousin or a niece or one or two of them, somewhere like that, and she is able to sponsor their education because she is educated, she is better placed in society because she was educated, and then she earns more, she earns a lot of money than if she hadn't been educated, to the extent that she can sponsor some of her relatives' education from our own income. All right. So those kind of relatives, this is a miniature of the society. It's cut across the entire market for tertiary education now, and the entire benefit to the benefit to the entire society. So those kind of relatives will want more of their elder brothers, would more of their more people to be educated in a way that they can benefit from that. Okay. Now the thing is, when Sarah was making the decision to get educated, she like I said earlier, she may not have thought of sponsoring one or two persons' education, and that cut across a lot of people across the society. Okay, just like what I'm doing today, like I never thought I was going to be teaching economics classes the way I am doing today, and that's that about that. Okay, so I had spoken earlier of how education helps in terms of good governance in the country where people are educated. I was saying that where people are educated, not just schooled, not just going to school. Okay, where people are really educated. Now the thing here is, let's place a value of before I coming to this graph. So initially, we're talking about PMC and PMB and the intersection of this point A. Now the value, let's say that the value that the society places on education, okay, is 8,000 naira per person. So let me say 8,000. Let me say 10,000 naira per person. All right. Whereas individuals place the value of 50,000 naira. This is what the market is giving us. The market is giving us an equilibrium price of 50,000 naira, and then the market is giving us 500 people. Okay, 500 people. Okay. Yes. So from there, the society wants, if the society there's a possible externality of 10,000 naira per person. So what happens is that the private marginal benefit, because this is not the true benefit, okay, the true benefit of the society is this. Now the private marginal benefit is going to shift upwards by the value of the externality, like per person. Okay, so we are going to be having 10,000. So this shifts upwards by 10,000 naira. So when it shifts upward by 10,000 naira, we come here. So the new price now is going to be the private price, this private result, plus 10,000 naira. All right. So that means all of this. This is now going to be 60,000 naira. Okay, 60,000 naira. Now after that, after sketching this one, I would advise that I sketch it one after the other. So after sketching this curve, so this is now the social marginal benefit curve. So it is intersecting the private marginal cost at this point. So at this point, then you trace it down. So you have now you'll be having 1,200 people, okay, getting educated instead of 500. So there's an addition of 700 in this particular country. So you have 500 to 1,200, which is this. Now what I want to show you here is at this point now, between point A and B, social marginal benefit is greater than the private, that is the true benefit is greater than the true cost. Okay, all of these points greater than until we get to this point where the social marginal benefit is equal to the private marginal cost. So all of this triangle ABC, okay, triangle ABC is the deadweight loss from having a positive externality. Okay, the deadweight loss from having a positive externality, whereas the 1,000 that I was saying, the 1,000 per person that I was saying, is the external benefit. Okay, which is the difference, in all of these, what do you call it now? The difference in these two lines, okay, these two parallel lines. So 1,000 per person, that is. Okay, so let's just leave it that way. So what else do I have to explain? Okay, so when there's a positive externality, the market on its own, okay, leads into a result that is leads into what do you call it? An inefficient result. Okay, when there's a positive, it leads to an inefficient result, and the output produced here, which is number of students, yeah, okay, the output produced is going to be lesser than the socially optimum amount, okay, because the socially optimum amount is 1,200. If it were a negative externality, that would have been the reverse. So negative externality is saying that you are producing too much, like the society just wants less of those things that are really affecting them negatively, but here the society wants more of those things that are affecting them positively. So if you say we want more, that means we are coming from an inferior position, okay, which is this. All right, then we move to this point. All right, and there is a way to actually calculate this. Okay, yeah, before going to that, there's a way to calculate this deadweight loss. It's going to be R base times height of triangle ABC. Now the base is the distance between A and B. This is now 60,000, right? So we have 60,000 minus 50,000, which is 10,000. I think I was saying this will increase by 10,000 per person, which is 10,000. So this is 60,000. So we have the base is 10,000, right? Then what is the height? The height is the distance between A and distance between Q, these two quantities, and that is 1,200 minus 500, and that gives us 700. So half base times height then gives us 35,000. So here the external benefit is 35,000. Okay. So what the government has to do here, 35,000 naira. So what the government has to do here is to subsidize education by this amount, because ordinarily universities will not give you this results. They are going to give you this results. All right. So they are not looking at the social marginal benefits. Individuals are not looking at the social marginal. They are just coming to school and are thinking about yourself, which is logical. Okay, so this is what the market would have resulted into, but because the society wants more, the government just has to take this inefficiency away by subsidizing education by this amount. So if it does that, you then have this quantity. So here, producing more is going to increase total economic surplus. Right? I was talking about negative externality in the previous video, where I was saying that producing less would actually increase economic surplus. So the deadweight loss here, okay, by the time it is taken away, the society benefits more from the government subsidizing education. If the government didn't do that in a country like Nigeria, for example, I wouldn't be here today. Okay, as someone who finished as an economics student. Okay, and you may not have been, in fact, you are likely not to have been benefiting from something like this, because if I hadn't gone to school, okay, 1,750 of you that we have currently are likely not to be enjoying something like this today. So because my school fee, basically from my first year to my final year, is not equal to, let me say, 1 over maybe 10 or 20, maybe 1/10 or 1/20 of what they pay in private universities. Okay, so in Nigeria, so I don't think it's equal, but the government did a lot of things, and I am here today. I'm able to get educated just from something like this. Now there are problems basically associated with externalities, because how do you value a positive externality? How do you value a negative externality? But we leave that one, okay, to policymakers to find out, to figure out how to do that. All we just have to do is just kind of understand the workings, okay, in our little way of positive externalities and negative externalities. So today, or let me say the past 5-6 days, there might have been one way or the other that someone's market activity influenced you or affected you positively or negatively. So I want you to leave in the comment section a positive externality that you've enjoyed in the past few days, as well as a negative externality that you've enjoyed in the past few days. Okay, and sometimes this is, it might be a matter of maybe perspectives or something like that, because a good or a service may give positive externality, and it may as well give negative externalities. Okay, so something like the sound system, for example, that I mentioned I mentioned earlier. So it could be a disturbance to how an dial, and it actually benefits them if they have to borrow the same sound system from their friend Faustina, from their neighbor Faustina today, to celebrate their birthday. We just go, we dance, we eat, and all of that. So the same thing with alcohol. So if Ralph were someone that takes alcoholic drinks, okay, and when taking the drinks, he only considers his private marginal benefits, and then the firms producing it will look at the private marginal cost in determining what the price of the product should be. The forces of demand and supply interact to get the equilibrium price and what have you. But Ralph is someone that consumes excessively. Okay, so immediately he consumes, he jumps into his car, speed off on the highway, hit somebody, kill somebody, hurt somebody. Okay, so the thing is, the market for alcoholic drinks is actually posing a threat to people out there, because they could get hit by a drunk driver. A drunk driver could kill anybody, and so the social cost to the economy is greater in that regard. Okay, it's greater in that regard from the bottles of beers outside there. But the thing also is that alcoholic drinks actually have benefits as well if they are taken moderately. You take little amounts or you take a moderate amount. Now, definition of moderate is also subjective. It's kind of normative in nature. So what do we call moderate? Is it one bottle? Is it two bottles? Is it half a glass? I don't know. Okay, well, let's just say we have a definition of moderate. Let me say a bottle. So maybe 2 glass cups or something like that. So let's just assume that we have something that we call a moderate, which is good, which everybody accepts to be good. So a moderate amount of what do you call it, of alcoholic drinks now, so would actually reduce. I have to write it down because it's summer. Would actually a moderate alcohol consumption reduces your risk of dying of heart disease. Did you know that before? Just Google it and check if it's wrong. So it reduces your risk of dying of heart disease. Now the thing is that if you take an excessive amount, it will actually increase your risk of dying of heart disease. So in a case like that, we'll now look at the external benefit and the external cost. So which one outweighs the other, and that will then determine, that will determine if the good has to be subsidized or the good has to be taxed. Okay, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people agree today that alcohol consumption is more of a negative externality. It causes more of a negative externalities to people. So that's that. I think I've told you what to do in the comment section. Okay, in one or two ways that someone's activity has affected you positively or negatively, leave them in the comment section and let us know. If you enjoyed this video, click on the like button. If you don't, click on the dislike button. Okay, if you have any comments, if you want to applaud us for the things we do, the comment section is there for you. Okay, if you want more of our videos, please click on the subscribe button and the bell appears. Click on the bell. This is our 181st video. So if you want access to all of the videos we've done so far on microeconomics, macroeconomics, econometrics, and mathematical economics, just type Emoji Economics on YouTube. Our page displays, then go to the playlist section, video playlist, description, whatever playlist, then you see of our classes. Each playlist contains topics arranged chronologically. So enjoy yourself and see you in the next video. Bye.